Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. This one is the Tamashii Nation's SH Figuarts Spider-Man stealth suit from Spider-Man Far From Home, or aka Night Monkey. So here is the box. It is a Japan exclusive, which means he comes with the fancy, cool brown shipper box. Not a big deal, but I know a lot of people that collect the SH Figuarts, they really like holding on to these brown shipper boxes. This is, I think, the only one that I have now, so I will be holding on to it, I guess, because I'll store the box in it. But anyway, that's just the box, the outside shipper box. Here is the actual box to the figure, and it's pretty cool. Some SH Figuarts, depending on it, will have a window box so you can actually see the figure. Unfortunately, this one does not. I think that's normal for the Marvel figures that are the Japan exclusives. The Japan exclusive meaning it will not see a US release at all. If it were to have a US release, it would come through Bluefin distribution, or Bluefin brands, whatever it's officially called. But any SH Figuarts Marvel would have to go through Bluefin to actually be sold in the US. Some do go through there, but this one is not, for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure why. So I was able to get mine through Supreme Collector. You know, he had put pre-order up months ago or whenever it was, and you know, I wanted one and I got it. So very happy to have it. Just arrived today. Looking pretty good. So here is the front of the package, Spider-Man Far From Home. We get a look at the stealth suit, or the Night Monkey suit, I like to call it. Here we actually have a look at the figure on the side of the package. Other side is just a continuation of the design. Spider-Man stealth suit there. There's some information there, but notice there's no blue fin seal or anything like that. Here on the back of the package we have a look at the figure and everything going on there. Lots of Japanese writing, so I have no clue what any of it says, but I already took the figure out of there. So there is the figure in the package, and this thing is pretty awesome looking. I'm very happy to have it. We saw that with the Spider-Man Far From Home advanced suit, that they made huge improvements over the Homecoming figures and the Infinity War Iron Spider figure, and since they're going to re-release Iron Spider with new and improved, it just shows that they're actually going a long way to make some huge improvements over it. So this thing looks really awesome. You know, keep in mind on this video, remember, I'm not the best at posing action figures on these highly articulated premium figures, but I do enjoy them when it is the MCU Spider-Man. You know, I get every single MCU Spider-Man figure that's articulated out there, so I did get this one, of course, had to, and really cool. So it's a lot of the same accessories that we see with the other SH Figuarts, the same web patterns. We get new web lenses and everything. We got the same tool to pop them out of the lens, and it's probably going to be where that head comes off on the weird peg. So some really cool things. One interesting thing is we actually have the eyes up, the goggles up. That's actually a separate piece, so you can see his eyes are you know, showing here, and then we get that piece there. But anyway, let's get right to it, open this thing up and take a look at the figure. So here he is out of the package. So before I wanted to get in closer and take a closer look at the figure and look at the articulation, I just wanted to show you guys all the SH Figuarts MCU Spider-Man figures that we have. So from Homecoming we have the homemade suit, the tech suit, Avengers Infinity War, we have the Iron Spider, Spider-Man Far From Home, we have the advanced suit, and now we have the stealth suit, or Night Monkey suit. So first let's get in up close so you can take a look at the head sculpt and look at all the details in the figure itself. We'll look at the other additional head sculpt as well, and then we'll move into the articulation and then do some comparisons with the Marvel Legends version of this suit. So here we go. Okay, so here is the stealth suit figure up close, and you can see all the great details that they actually put into the sculpt of the figure itself. The head sculpt looks very good. I like the shape of it. It's not too flat looking like they did the homemade suit, so I really like that. But you could see just all kinds of sculpted detail throughout the whole figure. One thing that's really weird is this piece. You could clearly see through that. So this, you know, piece, it's just the SH Figuarts figures, how they put them together, it's pretty crazy. But there's a huge gap in there, and you could see all the way through the shoulders. But again, the sculpted detail of this thing is really awesome. One thing that I find interesting that I never noticed in the movie or with any of the other figures, or, well, I guess we only got one other figure, is they actually do some gray lines in the boots, along the shin guard of the boots, I guess, and then up the pant leg through the back. So that's the only other color besides just all black for the figure itself. But sculpted details are really, Really, really nice. You have those buckles there. It's all done still in black plastic, but it actually looks like a little bit of shinier black plastic for those buckles. But yeah, just overall looks really good. Now let's swap out the head that he comes with. So here is just with the lenses down. So like the other Spider-Man figures, you could just pop that off, because then you'll be able to pop these lenses out inside of that head sculpt there. So we got this guy. We're just gonna plop that thing on. Just rests in there, and then here you see his eyes are exposed, and they look really good. Now SH Figuarts has used that digital face print technology for quite a while. I'm not sure how long they've been doing it, but I know they've been doing it for a very long time. So it came out looking really, really good. And then you have that lens piece that just ports right on in there. So there he has the goggles up, and that's how they do it. And that looks pretty good. And I kind of like the idea of it being a separate piece, that way it doesn't like break off. So that is really cool. Now let's zoom out and take a look at his articulation. Okay guys, bear with me here as we try to go over the articulation. So for the head, he can look all the way up, which is fantastic. He can look, as I kind of got it stuck, he can look down, but then I start pulling the head kind of off that weird peg that he's got in there, and then there's some head tilt going on in there because the neck itself moves, and then you can actually move the head itself on that neck peg as well, and then you can kind of get a little bit of a full rotation kind of in there. Then of course you can do a full rotation with the head swivel. So that is great. Shoulders, there is a butterfly joint that gives a lot of range of motion in there. So you can get it to come forward that much, you can get it to go back that much, which doesn't seem like a huge amount, but you can get it. But then you kind of really have to work it, so then it also goes down as well, and then you can get it to go back up. So you can get the shoulder at a resting spot to look right there, and then but you can then also bring it down, and then you can also bring it down even more that way, so then it's much lower. So it's just crazy amount of motion that's actually in that shoulder joint there. So the upper torso is a diaphragm joint, so you can get a little bit of tilt to the side that way. That much can go the other side a little bit. You can go back tiny bit, not a whole lot, and then you can come forward a little bit on that piece. And then the lower torso is also another diaphragm type joint, but it allows you to get a good bend forward, but then you see a lot of separation of the figure right back there, which really can look ugly depending on what you're trying to do. So you know, careful how you want to have that displayed. He can go back only so much, but some of that is actually in the legs on how you can kind of get that position. You can twist to the side that much because there isn't really a swivel, so you can just kind of work it to go to the side, which is more of a natural movement, I think. Legs can go out that far apart, so he could do full splits. He can kick forward very high, so that is great. Leg can go back unnaturally far back, which looks a little weird when you do it. There is a swivel up at the upper thigh there, so you can get some rotation going on in there. We get a solid double jointed knee, which works really well. There is no boot swivel or anything, but we get an ankle ball that allows some motion, so you can't really hinge it down too much. You can hinge it up a little bit, but you do get a really good ankle pivot going on in there, and then you also have some toe articulation there. So overall, really good articulation. Oh, and actually before I forget, double jointed elbow, which works really well, and then the wrists are on a ball joint too, so you can get all kinds of range of motion going on in there as well. So articulation is good. It's the same that we see with all the other SH Figuarts Spider-Man figures. Not sure how that is with Star Wars or like Dragon Ball Z, but on the Marvel Spider-Man figures, it's all the same articulation that we've seen with all the other figures. Now let's take a better look at the accessories before we move on into some side-by-side comparisons. So looking at the accessories, and we want to get a better look. The figure itself comes with the fist hands already on the figure out of the package. We get a set of thwipping hands here, a wall crawling hands, we get the web holding hands, and then we kind of just get these plain open hands, which really don't do a whole lot, but you can see there's just kind of the open hand ones. There's the additional interchangeable head sculpt right there, the lens for the goggles up. We get 3 sets of lenses total, so we got the squinting all the way starting to go down, and then this is the full scope of the lens that's actually on the figure already. We get the tool to actually pop out those lenses there. We get the long swinging web there, a shorter web, and then a really short web, and that goes around the wrist, and you can plug it in on the when you do the hand, when you switch out the hands. And we get this plastic piece here. I'm not sure exactly what this plastic piece is for. Usually we have like this plastic piece and it helps, like, you know, remove a back piece or something as part of the figure, and I'm not sure exactly what its purpose is here. I guess I'll have to kind of look at that, but those are the accessories. Now let's see some side-by-side comparisons with this guy. Yeah, I guess I should have looked at this earlier. So it does come with an instruction sheet as far as everything that comes in it, but it's all in Japanese, so it's not like I can actually read what it says. It says, you know, attachable, removable, but that's for basically it. But right here, that little plastic piece, actually what it does is you can actually port it into the back of the figure. So one of these pieces here actually comes out. So if you use like one of the stage or the stands that some SH Figuarts came with, like the Avengers Infinity War Iron Spider, you would actually be able to use that to have them in a special kind of pose. But I won't be doing that, but that's what that little plastic piece is for, so you can connect it to a stand. Okay, so here is the SH Figuarts next to the Marvel Legends here on the right, and you can see right away the big difference besides the height, because we know that SH Figuarts are always going to be smaller than Marvel Legends, whereas SH Figuarts are, my understanding, a true 1/12 scale, whereas Spider-Man or Marvel Legends figures are a 6-inch scale, which isn't really accurate to 1/12 scale. But anyway, the big difference is you can see a lot of my bright lights shining off of this guy, and that's kind of probably the biggest flaw of him. And I wasn't the biggest fan of this figure, and I know a lot of people love it, and I do too, to a point. There's just something about it I just, you know, is just okay for me. I thought the suit was great in the movie. I love the fact that they called it Night Monkey Ned, and it really took off from there. I thought that was awesome, but something about this figure just wasn't really there for me. I thought the legs were really skinny, but I know it was a very form-fitting or tight suit that he had, you know, in the movie, but something about it. So the color-wise of the SH Figuarts, the matte color, I think looks really great, really stands out. The sculpt work is all there. It's a little bit different, whereas, you know, it's much more padded looking for the legs on the SH Figuarts versus the Marvel Legends, where they just kind of had some lines going and some weird things. Usually, in one of my big complaints with SH Figuarts, you know, it's not like anything I put on videos or anything, but a lot of the SH Figuarts don't have a lot of texture to the figures. So you look at like the Captain America figures, his suit is just always like completely smooth, and for whatever reason that just bothers me. I'm thinking, well, there should be some texture to these things, and you know what, this Spider-Man figure's got the texture going on for him, whereas the Marvel Legends one just made it all smooth. So another reason why the SH Figuarts one really, you know, wins in that battle. But the sculpted details much more on the SH Figuarts, and it just has an overall better aesthetic. That's just the biggest thing is going to be the height and how it's going to look in your guys' collection. But you know, if you have other Marvel SH Figuarts, it's going to fit in just fine. But clear as night, clear as day, clear as night. This is the winner between the two. Okay, that is my review for the Spider-Man Stealth Suit figure from SH Figuarts, the Japan exclusive. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this figure. Is it something that you have picked up, planning to pick up somehow? I don't know. I think they're all sold out. I think it's, you know, one of those figures where you absolutely have to put in a pre-order somewhere. I got mine for $94. I'm not sure what the other sites and Big Bad Toy Store and all those sites were selling them for, or what you could get if you went through one of the import sites. But I think it's an awesome figure. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. It was one, whether it was a good figure or bad figure, I'd be adding it to my collection, but I do think it is a very solid figure, since SH Figuarts has made some of those improvements since the Spider-Man Homecoming. So I'm very pleased with it. I think if Mafex releases the same suit, I think Mafex will be the winner, because I do think, as far as import figures, I think Mafex is just absolutely killing it. So I'm hoping Mafex does release this figure, but for now, this is a fantastic one that I'm extremely happy to have. You guys let me know down in the comments below if you agree. If you guys like the video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, notification bell somewhere down here as well. And as always, thank you for watching.